Hi everybody, welcome to our cooking class today. We're so excited to have you here. We're excited to be here with Derek and Nicholas. We normally have our cooking classes at the Little Earth Urban Farm, and today unfortunately we got rained out. So we're happy to be at the Division of Indian Work. We encourage you to go to the Little Earth Urban Farm at some point and check out their awesome farm. But Derek is the traditional foods coordinator here, and he's going to talk a little bit more about that, and also has a LLC called Listening, which he'll also talk a little bit more about, I'm sure. So I'm going to turn it over to you without further ado.
What up? For a little bit. Oh, you got it.
My name's Derek Nicholas. I work here at Division of Indian Work. Today we have a bunch of Little Earth visiting. We're going to do an indigenous food demo. We're going to do my Indian spaghetti, a little spin on it, make some stuffed bell peppers. I got my main man here helping out in the kitchen today. Just good work, good medicine, cook up some good food. So Division of Indian Work, it's a nonprofit based here in Minneapolis. We're the oldest Native agency here in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. We offer a lot of different programs and resources to our community. So some of those different programs would be like a youth program, a nutritional birthing program, elders programs, then often like different resources like a food shelf, diaper bank, milk bank, the list goes on and on. My role is to cook for the programs, providing healthy, culturally appropriate foods, and then doing education as well. Also, it's like another platform to elevate my industry work, traveling around and doing education in that matter. So, start cooking. So, I think we got 10 people and I got 10 bell peppers, so that just works out perfectly. So, you want to help out? We're just gonna already rinse these, already washed them. So we're just gonna just cut off the tops, and then I don't have a compost like that, so we're just gonna toss everything in the trash. Just rip out the seeds, and then you can put it on that paper right there. So, all right. I'll start working on the rice. You got your instructions? Oh yeah. So one of the first steps we're gonna want to do is like we want to cook. Make the things. I'll take it. So we're just gonna do like all kinds of these stuff.
Take this stuff out of them.
They put it on that big tray street line. So one thing that I like to do is like quinoa and wild rice have like very similar cooking times. So we can keep those cooking at the same time. One thing you want to do is you want to rinse your rice and rinse your quinoa. For those that never, has anyone ever harvested wild rice before? Does anybody want to learn how to harvest wild rice? So we're kind of helping set up some different ricing camps over in Wisconsin. One of them is like an intertribal rice camp. So it'd be like people from Red Cliff, Bad River, like Planbo, Ho-Chunks, and Omni folks. We're just gonna do like a whole bunch of ricing workshops. So maybe I'll send the flyer to you guys, and maybe we can like arrange a trip out there. It should be like a lot of fun. So this wild rice, it's like very important to Anishinaabe people. It's came to us through prophecy. Some people talk about like that 7 fires prophecy is it's foretold that we begin our migration westward until we found like the food that grew in the water. So we started migrating. We started migrating west in like a spiral formation and found like the Negish out in the sky. So we came across the Great Lakes region where we found this food. So the way we call this wild rice in Ojibwe language is Manoomin, which translates to good berry or spirit berry. And there's a lot of really good medicine inside of it. So oftentimes like others, so talk about good life in like two different categories. So like divide it into like the Oasia and the Wakana. So like the way like Oasia translates to is like the wild beings, or like the Wakana translates to domesticated beings. But that word Wakana actually translates to the enslaved ones. So thousands of years ago, we made a contract with like a lot of the different plants and animals that they come back to our village and they take care of us. They become domesticated. They kind of humble themselves for us, kind of lose some of their gifts in order to take care of us as humans. We have to offer clean air, clean water, and clean soil. That was like part of the contract. So we stopped holding up our end of the bargain. Those animals will like leave us. And we're kind of already starting to see that with like things I'm seeing out in the woods and how like fragile domesticated beings are. So my elder Flanagan talked about in the Seasonings, this guy came to find and started telling prophecies. One of those prophecies about Mother Earth going through a great sweat bath, kind of shedding her skin. And in that kind of story is like the ones that are like non-native, as humans or animals or plants, they won't be able to survive that great sweat bath. And we're kind of already starting to see that stuff happen with like climate change. So plants and animals are starting to migrate up north, they're starting to disappear. Like up at my res, I've been seeing like red-haired skunk currents, which aren't supposed to grow that far north. The moose are migrating way up into Canada because they need the very cold winters and kill off all like the ticks and parasites. So it's kind of things that are important to think about. And I think scientists, they're onto this, they know this because right now they're like collecting indigenous people's fecal matter all around the world. You guys know what fecal matter is? Yeah. So if you guys are broke and need some money, you can donate a sample, get like $80 for a little sample. You can start raking it in.
They're paying $80.
For one pool, for how many pools?
Yeah, just one.
Just one pool?
Like the reason why they're doing that is because indigenous people all around the world, they have specific enzymes in their stomach to digest wild foods. So but it's like indigenous people have been eating wild foods since time immemorial. Like our gut microbiome has diversified, and we have specific enzymes in our stomach to digest wild foods. So if like the domesticated beings aren't able to stick around anymore, we're gonna have to like rely on those wild beings. And so it's always important to try new foods, especially wild foods, to then you're diversifying your gut. It's also just like very important for your immunity. Like the more like diverse your gut is, like the more immunity you have, so less likely you get sick. But then also like your gut microbiome is passed on to like generation to generation. So if you see people that have like allergies or whatever, let me just get this out of the light. So you see like people with like allergies, people are like allergic to a lot of stuff. That's oftentimes because their parents or their grandparents were eating very sterile, ultra-processed foods. So if you guys are eating very sterile, ultra-processed foods, that's going to be like a disservice to your future generations or your future kids. But if you know how to do small dice on this. So just to kind of speak through what I do with the wild rice and quinoa, I just gave it a rinse. The wild rice comes from our lakes and the rivers. It can be covered in like dust, dirt, debris. Also just like the process of cleaning wild rice, you're doing it in like a parching it over a cast iron pot or whatever. It can get kind of dirty, so we just rinse that off real clean. Some people like to rinse it until the water is like very clean. Some people like to rinse it until the water is kind of like lake water. It's kind of like up to your preference. If you do it like kind of like lake water, it's gonna have a more like strong lake taste. And we're just gonna bring it up to a boil and reduce it down to a simmer until all the water is evaporated, and it should be a good cook. So this is like how I like to dice my onions. Like I said, this knife is pretty dull, the left knife is sharper than my own. So I cut off the end, which is like the root end, bottom. Cut it in half. Get off the skin. We're gonna see that compost. We got that berries and compost. So we're gonna like kind of like think of it as like almost like a matrix. So we're gonna like cut to like the bed we want. So you can see like here we got like three equally sized portions. We're gonna start to cut it down like that. So very nicely this.
Do you mind if I move these?
I'm gonna grab another cutting board.
Okay.
Would you like some help?
You got it.
Sorry, you had it
Right, you got it right.
You got it.
Oh, turn the onion 90 degrees.
Like the butt face of it.
Like cut into the bottom.
Which way does he start?
You can like you can like this way.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, there's gonna be it.
Yeah, that way.
Anybody have any questions about anything I've said so far?
Okay.
So like another important reason why it's important to eat these wild foods is like we gotta think about like what you eat, right? So if you're eating those wild beings, your spirit's gonna be much more wild. Whereas if you're eating those enslaved ones, your spirit might be a little bit more tamed and domesticated. It's very true with these wild beings. They live very spiritual lives. So when you ingest them, you kind of gain the essence of who they are, and become like that spiritually gifted thing. So there isn't like a right or wrong way to cut it. Just cut it however you feel. One thing I don't like about like the culinary world is there's like a right or wrong way to do it. They just however you want to do it. However you do it.
We the culinary world too, like when it's like comes to the professionals, they kind of take the passion out of it, you know what I mean? I've heard a lot of people say that.
So like kitchens can be like very toxic where they're like yelling at people, you know, thinking Gordon
Right,
Ramsay.
Ramsay Gordon? Right, Gordon Ramsay.
So yeah, when we're around food, we want to make sure that we're having like good thoughts, good intentions, not to put anything negative into the food. So it's important to think like that. Not to be cursing. It's kind of like the same protocol when you're on like a sacred fire. You don't want to be cursing around the fire. Like that.
I have a question about cleaning mushrooms. How do you do that?
Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm pulling off these stems. The stems are good for like a soup stock, make a mushroom stock. And then once the stems are out, just gonna go rinse it under some water.
Then do you wait for them? Do you dry them? Do you pat them dry? Like, or you just let the water stay in the,
I just will send it.
okay. Because some people say you don't have to wash mushrooms. You know, there's like a whole number of ways people say for mushrooms.
I guess it's like this thing. I got a bunch of dirt on my hands. That's. I've done it without washing them, and sometimes feel like a little grit in the teeth. Just,
I prefer to wash too.
Everybody here eat wild foods at all?
Yeah, raspberries yesterday.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of the berries are right now. You guys ever do foraging with your program?
We haven't, we picked some nettles and we just have an open field nearby, so we've done that. But I think that's the only, yeah, it's only one so far.
You have a field at the farm?
It's an empty lot right next to the farm.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
A lot goes there.
Wow.
Like we've got a lot of motherwort and nettles, and I don't know, we got a bunch of stuff down. Like we didn't even plant that raspberry, the raspberries that are coming up, right? They just like, where the raspberry was coming from?
No,
Just dollar.
it must have been there for a little bit.
Yeah. I just remember one day I was mauling and I was just like, oh, no, for the raspberry.
How did the crayfish boil go?
It's fun. It's good. We caught like 8. I think 10? No. It was like 8 of them, I think. Yeah.
Was it the rusty crayfish?
I think so. I think that's what they, some of them were that, I think. They were in the creek, pepper falls.
And then you guys like supplemented.
Well, we actually had a bag of crayfish when we did the crayfish, so like we were in the spot.
Yeah, we didn't eat the ones that we caught, actually. We gave them, someone was there from a university and they took them for the research. But we ate like,
Toxins are in there.
yeah, we ate ones from the store.
You might as well go shopping is I'm gonna go back. That's good. That's good.
Anybody else want to tap in?
You know the bathroom is there?
I think it's down the hallway. Let me see if you.
So you go out this door and then go out the double door, just take a right, keep walking down, you'll see a bathroom.
This food looks like.
It's nice.
Yeah, I found that. It's looking. Can you get it? I was waiting for the.
Just use the.
How long you been looking for? Cause the way you working at night is a little too nice, man. Yeah. So it's like the quinoa and the wild rice gonna be like the replacement for the spaghetti noodles?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't like to stick like wild game in there and use like animal fat. So yeah, we're taking the vegan version and. No, I always, I think mushrooms in there, so.
Is there a preference for the mushrooms that you use?
Maybe there's a date for those, but I think any mushrooms are good.
We should have racked some of the ones that we got at the, remember that I had?
Yeah.
They got, we had a bunch of like gourmet mushrooms at the.
My favorite is
Yum.
What's up, shit? Come on in. Just gotta get that door right behind you. You got that water at the top, Ken?
That's looking good for you.
Does she have this one? There's one more bag. Usually when people say they're allergic to them, that just means they don't like it. I want to see it.
People do it all the time. Like I'm allergic to something, I know they're not, just put a little in there too.
Oh my god.
Oh, I know, it's like. They ate that food before and had no problems.
Yeah.
I'm not really gotta test the theory, you know?
That's why I
This is keep calling that kitchen.
So what are you putting in over there?
Yep, so I'm just putting some olive oil in a pan. I'm gonna get it nice and hot, and we're gonna throw in these mushrooms and then just
Awesome.
bun them down. That's really good. One way to tell if the oil is hot is just put a little water on your finger and put it in the oil. Once it starts to hot or something like that, you know, it's places on it. You don't want to like put your food in there before the oil stocks and the oil like soak into the food. That flavor will kind of like take over. So I'm just gonna salt and put some black pepper on these.
Heavy on the salt. Like. That's why I be so dehydrated. Me, my dad had one of those. Like a big tall one, like.
So like to go back on the point about wild foods, like there's so much teachings around the importance of eating wild foods. Like as I briefly mentioned earlier, those wild beings, they live like very spiritual lives. So when you take on that animal and end up like actually killing it and ingesting it, or like a plant, you know, plant has life too. So if you take a plant, it's like you're killing that plant and you're taking its life. You don't like embody those gifts that it has. And so you really are what you eat. So there was like 1 week where I had like 3 raccoon demos lined up, like with different tribal nations and different native orgs. So I cooked up 3 raccoons, and there was just like so much leftovers. So obviously I'm not gonna waste it. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I had raccoon for like a whole week straight. Now that 3rd or 4th day, like my eyes started getting like all bugged out. I was like really getting like all like bugged out like a raccoon. Oh, when it came to nighttime, I would see like a mile of attention. So I took on that gift they have by nocturnal ability, right? I have like an indigenous friend from Australia. He's a Noongar. And this guy could jump, like a kid you guys. He actually does like dunk contests and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, I know
Deer?
it's a kangaroo.
Kangaroo?
He's kangaroo. I called him out, I was like, you must eat a lot of kangaroo, and that's why you can jump. He's like, I'm surprised to do that, but yeah. He gives all the credit to the kangaroos for being able to do that.
Talk about kangaroos today, huh?
Kangaroos have like the thickest leather. So they're like one of like the strongest leathers, like even like stronger than like alligator or whatever. So you need to make some good moccasins that never break. You know, just the kangaroo ones. So like the plants are like the stew. You know, there's tons of plants that often like have like tons of medicine inside it. So I was just in Africa, and I got invited by the indigenous tribes in Botswana to go out there. I work with their youth and do some different like teachings and healing stuff. So I've been to Africa a few times, and sometimes there'll be like witch doctors there to try to put bad medicine on you. So I wear like protection medicine, right? And one of the plants I use is used to like make you invisible. There's like there's a plant that you can use and like makes you invisible, so you're not supposed to drive with that in your car. It'll make people like not be able to see while you're driving, or, like prone to get into accidents, right? So I was using that medicine, that invisibility medicine, not to like make me invisible, but to like make my spiritual gifts invisible. And I kid you not, like it really, really worked. I was on this hike. I was just hiking around. I was going up this big old mountain. I was coming down the mountain, and this woman was coming up the mountain. And she's like looking around, like looks like it's like looking to see if people are around. And she looked at me dead in the eyes. I look at her dead in the eyes. I was like, all right, this woman clearly sees me, right? But then all of a sudden, this woman just drops down her pants, drops out her pants in the middle of the jungle and starts taking a whiz. I'm like, and she just like bold, like she literally just saw me, but we literally locked eyes. They're completely naked, just whizzing in the middle of the forest. And I was like, I don't think she minds. Like she saw me, so I kept going, like walking down, and then like I get up like right behind her, like just trying to pass her, and like right when I get behind her, she like startles, like, "Oh, I didn't see you." And I was like,
What?
I didn't say nothing. I was like, "Oh, it doesn't bother me. You're good." And I was like, "I wonder if it was like that medicine I had in college." You know, she clearly locked eyes with me, but I don't know how she didn't see me. So, you know, like you have those plants, like those wild beings, and you're putting that stuff inside your body. You can be able to like have those gifts those plants have those gifts those animals have. So, I highly recommend you to start eating those wild beings, incorporating them into your diet. Also like kind of open up that channel inside you to like kind of connect to the land on a more spiritual level. You like start to like form relationships with these plants and animals. They'll start to like come and like talk to you, be a part of your life. So I see that like happen so much. So when I harvest these things, I'm making a relationship with them. I'm putting out tobacco, saying who I am, what I'll be using them for, and most of the time it's for community education. And oftentimes these plants and animals feel like neglected, that they don't need to be used, that people aren't honoring them anymore. What those elders say is like, once those plants feel like don't have a certain purpose anymore, they'll go home, like back to the star hole, and they'll leave us forever. So when I'm out there, like they're happy to be used, right? And they know they're going to be used for community education, so that when it is time for community education, like something like this. The only one that I actually go harvest is just like wild rice, which this is not even stuff I harvested, it's store bought. They come out to like the community demos, they'll put on their Sunday best. Like they bring out their most flavors, they bring out the strongest medicine. So they want everyone here to like remember who they are. So that like when you're out in the woods, you can identify them, start to talk to them, start to forage it yourself. We shouldn't be like scared to forage or scared to like have like form relationship with these plants. It's like what they're there for. They want to be used. We should be using them since we live here and our ancestors have used them. So I highly recommend everyone just start getting familiar with one plant and then just continue to expand. Yeah.
What are the wild beans that you're talking about?
Wild beans.
Yeah. Beans?
Not beans, beans, like BEIN.
Oh, beings. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
But there is wild beans. Lots of wild beans.
okay.
There's like hog peanuts.
I have another question for you. So I just made my first.
What's in them?
Oh, I just made my first dish with elderflowers. I made kind of like a, what is it called? Not a pancake, but dipped it in like kind of like pancake batter or whatever. What else would you make with elderflower?
I've seen people make like infused honey with flowers.
What was that?
Infused honey.
Oh, okay.
I usually just use like elderflower with like a garnish.
You made tea.
Yeah, you can make a tea. But now what I'm doing is I'm putting like some tomato paste in the pot with onions and mushrooms. If you want to cook that tomato paste down, if you want, otherwise it's gonna be like super strong. So we're just gonna cook this down.
You're right. You're right.
Going crazy.
It's a strike.
Cereal, I think they call it, or green.
Oh,
Anybody know where quinoa is from? Where it's native to? Okay, right on the bed.
Where does he say?
That's not accurate.
Oh, Andy's. That looks like Africa, don't it? A little bit. Yes.
How do you really though? Yeah, so that's like, it's like, I always thought Mexico, but that page is showing like, Colombia, Ecuador area. That's above the thing.
Can we add some to our name?
That's it. So I actually took a group of kids out to go hunt that buffalo.
I know, why did you do that?
I can,
Where do you think, South Dakota or Dakota?
yeah, it's South Dakota. I'd be happy to take another group out if you guys want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not them.
So what do you have in there now?
It's onions,
Everything?
onions, nope, onions, mushrooms, wild rice, quinoa. We're gonna start throwing in some tomato paste.
Okay.
Yeah. We go to
Tomato paste is already.
Got it.
You go through the black hills, they got blue caves, And then, if you're rolling with that, you're like, it's like $5-10 a day.
Therapy's amazing, I love therapy.
Yeah, so nice. Our high school took us out there, went to the center school, and we learned a lot about like the stars and stuff like that. And they took us out to Bear Views. We stayed in the lodge and we went like through the Black Hills and stuff. Went out to like China Ridge, I think it was. Something like that. It was so good. Should I add some of my eyes on the side of that?
So I was gonna add like tomato sausage, like it's nice and creamy. This is.
Graduated by everything. Good. I'm be good. I'm on my raccoon shit. My raccoon energy. Oh, I need to.
Another day. But not today. Next week. Yeah.
I know.
I'm also throwing some Mexican oregano and a little bit of culinary sage in there as well. Culinary sage.
What's the difference between the regular oregano and Mexican oregano?
Mexican oregano has the strong flavor and a slight citrus twist.
Oh,
Okay, that's not it. That was.
Bay copy.
What?
Bay copy.
Oh, okay.
I've been saying it long before the bags are out.
That garden. They doing things. They had a bunch of like stuff like that.
All those strong sides, yeah.
They had oregano, like some stuff, thyme or thyme or whatever it is. They have a bunch of stuff. Is it thyme or is it thyme?
Well done. Look good.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, we're about to make them.
Yeah.
To the cooks, to the cooks, right? So,
These were going to be cooked on the grill. So there's two different ways on the recipe that you can do it, either on the grill or the oven.
yeah. Good one way to do it. Yeah, you good. Thanks.
How do you know if they're done?
You can like see the color in them start to like fade a little bit, and like the skin will like wrinkle up a little.